Prayer Before Birth by Louis MacNeice. I am not yet born, oh hear me, let not the blood-sucking bat, or the rat, or the stoat, or the club-footed ghoul come near me. I am not yet born, console me. I fear that the human race may with tall walls wall me, with strong drugs dope me, with wise lies lure me, on black racks rack me, in the blood baths roll me. I am not yet born, provide me with water to dandle me, grass to grow for me, trees to talk to me, sky to sing to me, birds and a white light in the back of my mind to guide me. I am not yet born, forgive me for the sins that in me the world shall commit, my words when they speak to me, my thoughts when they think me, my treason engendered by traitors beyond me, my life when they murder me by means of my hands, my death when they live me. I am not yet born. Rehearse me in the parts I must play, and the cues I must take when old men lecture me, bureaucrats hector me, mountains frown at me, lovers laugh at me, the white waves call me to folly, and the desert calls me to doom, and the beggar refuses my gift, and my children curse me. I am not yet born. Oh, hear me. Let not the man who is beast, or who thinks he is God, come near me. I am not yet born. Oh, fill me with strength against those who would freeze my humanity, would dragoon me into a lethal automaton, would make me a cog in a machine, a thing with one face, a thing, and against all those who would dissipate my entirety, would blow me like thistletown hither and thither, or hither and thither, like water held in the hands would spill me. Let them not make me a stone, and let them not spill me. Otherwise, kill me. That's by Louis MacNeice, who was a 20th century Irish poet and British poet, son of a Church of Ireland clergyman, Oxford graduate, who knew other famous poets in Oxford at the time, like W.H. Auden, Cecil Day-Lewis, and T.S. Eliot, a bit older than him. Anyway, so this poem has that refrain, I am not yet born. So there's a child in utero who's addressing the world. And significantly, it was composed during the Second World War, when all sorts of horrors were being perpetrated on a vast scale. And the poem, it constantly juxtaposes the child's helplessness and innocence with all the wickedness of the world outside the womb. So obviously, the persona is this unborn girl or boy, but somehow is aware of all the dangers in the world. All right, that's poetic license. And this makes the reader ruminate on the seriousness of all the evil that people are doing. And we're invited to empathize with this defenseless child, called upon to protect children in general. And also calling out to God, the only one who can safeguard the child. So Louis MacNeice, he is presenting his beliefs through the mouth of this imaginary infant, talking about all the difficulties an adult may have to surmount later on, because there's war, there's penury, there's family breakdown, and so on. So the child somehow knows of all the worst things that can happen in the world, and asking that he or she be given absolution, and parts must play and cues must take, aware that adult life in a sense is acting out roles, doing things you don't feel like doing, pretending to believe things that you disbelieve, pretending to have emotions you don't believe, and there are all sorts of difficulties. But the child hopes never to be made as stone. Perhaps that means unemotional, or to be spilled, would rather die than experience that. So it touches on various moral issues and all the wickedness that adults are doing, and perhaps make us ashamed and compared to the innocence and gentleness of children. Okay, coming into this very flawed world, so full of violence, cruelty, and injustice. Anyway, so this is what the child's first prayer, and the club-footed ghoul, rather cruel thing to say about disabled people. Ghoul being like monster. Rat and bat. Now these could signify diseases they're carried. Bloodsucker, it says, but that could also be an exploiter. So the child is pleading for protection. All these deadly evils that someone's going to face. Notice the regularity of the poem and the way the lines are indented. That is deliberate. Perhaps it's alluding to God, a white light in the back of my mind to guide me. Or that could mean a moral conscience, not to do all these horrid things that other people are doing. And these obviously prayers are to God, but we're listening in on them because then we realize all the terrible sins that people are committing. The child wants to enjoy nature, the sky, the birds, grass, and water, and perhaps we're spoiling those with pollution too. And the child is aware that he or she is original sin and will definitely transgress and ask for forgiveness in advance. Okay, so his thoughts as words, murder, asked to be forgiven, all this. Right. And is aware that lovers will laugh at him, as in we don't know if it actually is a girl or a boy. He or she will grow up, as in girlfriends, boyfriends will dump him, jilt him, or her, and that's why. The beggar refuses his gift. Rejection. They say beggars can't be choosers, but sometimes someone who's even in mendicity might turn down what's proffered. Or his or her own children turn against this parent, and that would be very hurtful too. Okay, so we find out so much about humankind here. To keep away from the man who thinks he is God. And perhaps he was writing this, MacNeice, because the time what Stalin and Hitler were behaving as though they're God. So and the baby is asking to resist temptation and not to behave like a beast, which could just be cruel. But I mean, animals don't have sadism like humans have, but I suppose they're just bestial urges is what they try and satisfy. And the baby doesn't want to freeze his humanity. Some people harden their hearts, have got no mercy, or to become a cog in a machine either. Doesn't want to become a lethal automaton, as in a soldier who's got automatism inculcated into him and just kills on command. Wants to resist that. So that is prayer before birth. So he's got these themes of innocence, of religion, of violence, and so on. An 8-stanza poem. The number of lines is uneven. The first and sixth stanzas have got 3 lines each. The second and third stanzas have got 4 lines apiece. The fourth stanza has got 6 lines. The fifth stanza has got 7 lines. And the last stanza has got 10. This is written in free verse. It's metrical in places, not metrical overall. There is some rhyme, but there's no discernible rhyme scheme. So yeah, me is used twice in stanzas 6 and 8. So that there's a caesura, for example, when the writer puts a pause in the middle of the line. Yeah, so would make me a cog in a machine, comma, a thing with in line 7. There's also an epistrophe. That's where the line ends with the same words. Me ends all 4 lines in the second stanza. And there's some enjambment where the line ends before its natural end. So how they transition between lines 1 of 2 of stanza 7 and lines 1 of 2 of stanza 3. So that is a bit about prayer before birth.